Welcome back to the Couch Potato Show. This is episode 29. Back again with the boys. Frank, how we doing?
Fantastic.
And Eric, how we doing?
Marvelous.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Had a long week. It's been a while since we did this. I think it was like
Um,
last Thursday, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
The fans
We
were
had our interview in
clamoring
between,
for
so it
it.
wasn't too long.
You're taking away from my college game day watching right now. Kind of salty.
You were the one that was complaining that you had to get up this early.
But that's okay. No, I wasn't complaining actually.
That was me.
Yes.
Oh, was that you? Sorry. I was getting confused.
Anyway. Uh let's get into picks for last week real quick. It was just the Coastal Carolina game. I got a point there with Coastal. Both of you guys took BYU and you were wrong.
A last second stop.
Yes.
It's a good game.
It was a game of the year.
Yeah.
Game of the year. All right, let's get into picks for this week. Just three. We got UFC 256 tonight, Saturday night. And then I think sometime this afternoon, I believe, is the Army Navy game, which will be very fun to watch because last week was kind of taken away from rivalry weekend because of COVID. So we didn't get a lot of rivalry games last week.
Yeah, and then we are supposed to have Ohio State and Michigan this week, and they got canceled.
Yeah, that game got canceled. But at 3:00 this afternoon, we have Army Navy. So we got something. So we'll start off with UFC. Eric, why don't you run down the Ferguson and Oliveira fight real quick?
Surely. So Charles Oliveira versus Tony Ferguson. Ferguson was on an absolute tear before facing Justin Gaethje. And interestingly, I was watching a press conference yesterday, and Tony Ferguson. So, like the thing in the MMA universe, like the ultimate tease is Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Everyone wanted to see that so many times, but I think it got canceled like literally 5 times. Once Ferguson like tripped over a wire when he was like on an interview day and like tore his ACL. Then coronavirus happened when it was scheduled. It's just absolute insanity with these two. It's the match that never could really happen. But if Dana could convince Habib to get out of retirement and Tony wins this fight, I think Tony's in line for a title shot. He's ridiculous. He's one of the most talented mixed martial artists on the planet. But he did sustain a lot of damage in that Gaethje fight. But also, you got to, he did 2 weight cuts, so that could have easily taken away from his performance. And Charles Oliveira is a finishing machine. He just most submissions in UFC history, I believe. He's good on the feet too. Both these guys are really, really, really well rounded. I have a feeling they're going to stand and bang, and the first one to get tagged is going to try to take to the ground. It's going to be a really interesting fight. This is a really fun co-main event. A lot of people wish this was 5 rounds. I don't mind it. Have a nice compliment to this stack card. I don't mind it at all. I think it's going to be a really fun fight.
So we're gonna let Frank go first this week.
Hey.
I'm going to take Ferguson. Like Eric said, he won 12 of his last 13, 12 in a row before the Gaethje fight, which he lost. It's 12 of 13 at this point. I think it'll be a really interesting fight, like Eric said, because you got Ferguson, who's really good on his feet and has really good striking accuracy and defense. But then you have Oliveira, who's more of a submission artist. So I think it'll be really interesting to see which way this fight is going to go. But I like Ferguson in this one.
Eric?
Yeah, the prediction makes sense, and I really think this is going to be a close fight.
It's going to be a really
in here because Oliveira is so good in the ground, as Frank said, and Ferguson's got a lot of power and just sort of strikes with this recklessness at times. But I got to play catch up, so I'll go Charles Oliveira, and I don't even hate the pick.
This is a fight where like you could pick either one and it would be a good pick.
Yeah, and that's what great fights are made of. This could be really fun. I'm really looking forward to this, and I think Oliveira could take it. I'm going to say Oliveira split decision. I think this is going to be a fight. It's late in the year, but I think this could be a fight of the year nominee. This is fun.
We'll let Tyler make the pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Eric here. I like the Oliveira pick. Like you said, Tony Ferguson's one of the best best to do it right now. And I think Oliveira, like you said, is one of the best, like, just on the ground fighters that the UFC has ever seen.
He's
So I
not.
think, yeah. So I think he'll take advantage of that and get Ferguson down to the ground, and probably won't make him tap, but probably will end up getting a decision.
I think as the fight goes longer and longer, it favors Oliveira.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
If it's a quick fight, then I think Ferguson will take it out. But if it's like 3 rounds, then I think it's Oliveira's fight.
that makes sense. But historically speaking, Ferguson is a bit of a slow starter. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see Oliveira take the first, but Tony take the second with a lot of striking, and Oliveira squeak at that third. But, I'm really trying to call my shot here, but who knows what's going to happen.
This is definitely a fight that I wish was 5 rounds, but
yeah, this whole card is stacked. This is going to be awesome.
But let's get on to the main event, the one that is 5. Eric, we got Figueiredo and Marino. We've seen Figueiredo twice
21
now.
days ago.
We saw
this turnaround in UFC history for challenger and champion. And Brandon Moreno fought in that card as well. Took out Brandon Royval, who I thought was going to win as the underdog, but Moreno really dominated him on the ground. Great control all around, body control with him. He was able to manipulate Brandon Royval's body, just vicious ground and pound. That was really, really impressive from him. I thought Royval was going to end up being the next challenger, but props to Moreno for looking great. And he was the number 1 contender on that night also. He had that chip on his shoulder, expecting that he would get the title shot. And I believe Alex Perez is who Figueiredo knocked off on that night.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting fight.
Frank, who you got?
I'm gonna take Davison. I've picked him twice, and he's won both times for me. He's the defending champ, and this guy's crazy. He just looks insane. So I'm gonna stick with him. I think he can push me to 3-0 picking him. I have a good shot.
Eric?
Yeah, I really want to pick Figueiredo. I don't think he's as great as everyone's making him out to be yet. I think he's really close, and I think he's vicious. That's, Dana White says this guy throws every single punch with bad intentions. It's so clear that he winds up and wants to knock his opponent out every single time. And now he's got a submission game. On paper, this guy's going to be really, really hard to stop, like a second coming of Demetrius Johnson. But it's a little premature to say that. I don't know what to do. Strategically speaking,
you're behind, so you got to play catch up. You don't think he's gonna.
But Figueiredo, I really think F it. I'm gonna go with the challenger. That's fine. Because at this point, it's
what. Yeah, it's
go big or go home.
Yeah, I'm just grabbing points here. I'm gonna go with Davison Figueiredo as well. With Frank here, he's the all around better fighter. I think he's, like you said,
I agree. Honestly,
he's a dangerous person.
He's not a guy that you want him.
He's a dangerous man.
Yeah.
And especially when it's one thing if one contender was coming off of, what is it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
It's like a month, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So 3 weeks rest, but both of them are. I think Figueiredo is definitely the more skilled fighter. Yeah. So I'm gonna take him in this short turnaround fight. But let's move on to football, because today we've got one of the greatest rivalries in sports, the Army-Navy game. Now, for the first time since, I think, World War II, the game is being played at West Point. So Army is actually home for the game. Usually the game is played in Philadelphia at like a neutral site where the Eagles play. But this year, because of COVID, they're playing at West Point. I think Donnie's in attendance tonight for whenever the game is. Him and like 5 other people. So, yeah. Yes. So, Frank, I'll start with you. Army, Navy, who you got?
I'm going to go with Army, but it's not because Army's playing well. I just don't like the way Navy is playing. They've scored 13 points in the last 2 games combined. I think this will be another low-scoring game, but I think Army has enough offense to eventually win this and squeak it out.
Eric?
Yeah, I've revealed my cards, unfortunately. Gonna have to go Navy. playing the catch-up game. Yeah, well, I agree. It will be a low-scoring game, and that's my kind of game. A lot of people like high-scoring games, and I do as well. Nothing wrong with Patrick Mahomes running up the scoreboard, but it's something to be said about a good defensive matchup. And I think this,
I'm a big defensive guy, so I'm cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So I've already made my pick, but I'm kind of looking at the recent scores here. Navy's played a lot better as of recent, which helps my pick because I'm going to take Navy in this game with the huge upset. Navy played, I believe it was Tulsa last week, who's ranked or was ranked at the time. Actually only lost by one possession. And the week before that, they played a pretty good Memphis team and only lost by like 3. So they're playing in close games. They're not scoring a lot, but Army's not scoring a ton either. And they're playing teams that shouldn't be in the FBS, playing teams that aren't good. So I think Navy's going to pull off an upset here at Army, which probably, I don't think you can.
Advantage.
First time you can probably say that since
War II.
over 100 years ago. But wait, so Frank, you got Army?
Yeah.
And Eric's got Navy?
Yep.
And I got
just
Navy.
whatever I pick, Eric picked the other.
Nice. All right.
Sweep, it's over.
So
let's hope I sweep.
Yeah, you need it. I'm kind of hoping you sweep too, because then we can get to Sunday, clean slate, and bunch of teams are clinching divisions on Sunday potentially. So maybe a potential lead for tie.
For the tie guy.
Tie.
The first 10 points. Now I have a question.
Yeah.
So say Eric sweeps and we tie, and then we get to Sunday, and we both reach 100 on Sunday. Is it whoever's teams clinch first in the divisions?
No.
Okay,
because there's a good shot we both reach 100 on Sunday with the teams that we've picked.
Really?
Okay, let's say you guys are both going into Sunday with.
I'm not going to say Frank.
It would be 97. I'm not saying you will. I'm just saying if he does.
So let's say Eric sweeps. Then you're at what, 97 each?
Both, yeah.
Well then, so whoever it's second. It's like minute by minute. So whoever.
Yeah.
I'd have to look who can clinch and who we've picked.
If your teams can clinch at the 1 o'clock window, you're gonna get to 100 before Eric's team that can clinch at the 4 o'clock window.
Eric, did you take the Steelers or somebody else?
Raven,
right.
I took the Steelers.
So we basically have the same picks then. Because who can clinch on Sunday? The Chiefs, the Steelers, and who else?
Whoever gets the Sunday with the lead is probably going to win.
Unless we're tied.
I picked the Patriots. That's not going to happen. I picked the Ravens. That's not going to happen. I think I picked the Titans, so that could happen. Who the hell knows?
No, I think the Colts are going to win that division.
Yeah, Frank.
But I also picked the Titans, I think, so.
You're going to get a point or two on me, Pederini.
All right, so we're chilling.
But those teams aren't going to clinch this week necessarily.
No,
they're not.
Clinching this week is probably going to be like Saints.
Yeah.
Which I believe I picked because I picked them in the Super Bowl. I assume I picked them also in the division.
Okay, let me pull it up real quick.
Otherwise, that make no sense.
Okay, so Saints.
Packers? Could Packers do?
Both of you guys had Saints, of course.
Yeah, I think we literally just made like the same picks.
Couple different.
Can the Bills clinch? No. Steelers can clinch, I believe, with a win. No, they can't. Chiefs can clinch with a win.
We all have the Chiefs.
Packers 10-3. 10.
I'm not sure if they can.
Packers can clinch with a win.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Packers can clinch with a win.
Cool.
Did we both have the Packers?
I know I did.
Yeah.
I definitely did. This is about to be a freaking mess.
Saints can clinch with a win.
We both had the Saints.
Jesus Christ. I think that, and that's it. I think it's just Packers, Saints, Chiefs.
So same thing.
Steelers might be able to. I don't know.
Do we both have the Bills?
I have
The
Pats.
Bills can't clinch with a win.
The Bills can't.
I
Okay.
have Patriots
They
either
can
way. So you're gonna gain a point on me.
Okay.
I think
So we could.
the only divisions that are clinchable this week are Packers, Saints, and Chiefs.
Yeah.
Everybody else
ones?
can clinch the playoffs, but those are
Yeah, but who cares?
clinching games.
So we might just both be sitting at 100 and have to go in like a sudden death.
I'd be
something.
shocked.
Well, no, you won't go into a sudden death. If you guys both are at 99, and let's say the Chiefs clinch, so
First point, another point.
you both get to 100, then it's just whoever gets the next.
That's what I mean by sudden death.
Yeah.
Next point would be.
I guess, yeah. Then it would go into sudden death, yeah.
What are the odds of that?
0.
0 because
Clearly
guys won't.
not.
Yeah.
Well, it's very unlikely, but
Moreno ain't beating Figueiredo.
All right, let's get into big deal, no big deal. Eric.
Yes.
Big deal, no big deal that James Harden has clearly announced that he does not want to play for Houston and that he wants to be traded to a contender.
I mean, moderately big deal. I don't know. I always think about like, isn't this just uncomfortable for everyone in the locker room now? Like looking at him, it's like your mom was like, this kid needs to hang out with you. He told the other kid's mom like, oh, go over, and you're like, you want to hang out with this kid, but he doesn't want to be there. So you don't want to hang out with him anymore. So it's weird. It's weird for people. It's a bigger deal than it's not a big deal, but the Rockets aren't doing anything anyways in my eyes. They're a good team. They're a playoff team, but I don't know. I just ship him off. If he doesn't like it, ship him off. I don't know. What are you going to hold him there captive? It's weird.
I mean, they could.
Yeah, they could, but it's like, I don't know. And I get
then
it.
again, he could just sit out and not play. So.
Yeah, but that would be a D-nozzle move. I don't like that. I get it. He's marketable with the beard. People like that, but if I'm the Rockets, I'm not really I'm not in love with his play style anyway. He's good, but
I hate his play style.
He's not going to bring you to a championship. You want a championship. He's not going to do it.
No. Frank, big deal, no big deal.
I think it's a big deal if you're the Rockets, specifically because that's your guy. You put everything into him. And not only that, if you were to trade him, you'd get like future assets back. But besides this one trade, the Rockets don't really have anything in the future. They traded all their picks away to get Russell Westbrook. They just traded back for John Wall plus 1 extra first-round pick. And I know if you get James Harden, let's say, I don't know, like he goes to the Nets, hypothetically, and you get like Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, Joe Harris, and like 3 or 4 picks, and it's like they still have to start from scratch basically because those 3 guys are not going to win you crap, honestly. They're great role players, but they're not going to win you games in the NBA. So I think for the Rockets, if you were to trade them, you'd basically be starting over and you wouldn't be contending for at least 3 or 4 years.
I know we're speaking hypotheticals, but the Nets should not make that trade.
The Nets don't need 3 max contracts on their salary cap.
Don't do it.
I don't think this is as big a deal as everyone's making it out to be. It seems like this kind of thing happens all the time where players are like, oh, I don't want to, especially with James Harden. He's kind of the drama queen of the NBA nowadays. So I think
it's Paul George.
Well, him and Paul George, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, all of them.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Bunch of crybabies. So this is not a big deal. I think he'll play. They may trade him later down the road. They won't get anything for him. The Rockets won't be relevant. Whoever he gets traded to, they're not going to go anywhere because James Harden is just not going to take your team to the finals. So no matter what comes of this, it's just not a big deal.
Yeah, and even if he goes to the Nets, like you're going to have Kyrie, KD, and James Harden, 3 ball dominant players.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if he did.
He better.
The other teams that he could go to are like the Heat, I think, which they don't need him anyway.
No.
That would kill your play style.
Mm-hmm.
What other teams were mentioned?
Who's going to scoop him up. I can already see it. Him in the New York Knicks jersey.
The Knicks are going to screw it up so bad.
The Bucks were mentioned too.
The Bucks don't need him either. They already have one guy that hogs the ball the entire game.
He doesn't hug the ball, but yeah. All right, next one. Big deal, no big deal. Gary Sanchez is playing like a god in the Dominican Winter League this year for the Toros, batting .318 with 2 home runs already, 6 RBIs in 7 games, OPS of 1.165. Frank, big deal or no big deal?
I think if he was playing poorly, it would be a huge deal because who's going to play poorly in the Dominican League and play well in the MLB? But now that he's playing well, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't really know how well it'll translate into the major leagues. Like, no offense to the Dominican League, it's a good league, but it's not the major league. So I think that if he's playing well, which he is, I don't think it's a big deal because you have no idea how it would translate to the major leagues.
Eric,
I'm a little torn here because I agree with Frank. Truly, this isn't even 1A and 1B with these leagues. It's like one in like a big gap. It's you can't compare them. Like Frank said, talented players there, respectable baseball. I wouldn't be able to make it. But the MLB is clearly on another level. It's the premier baseball organization in the league. That's just kind of a fact. But baseball is a really mental game. It is extremely mental. Confidence is a thing. And I think when Gary swings at a pitch like 3 times a game that's in the other batter's box, you see a kind of a grimace on that face and you see a lack of confidence. So I don't think it's a major deal. I'm not saying, oh, he's back. The Kraken's back. But I think it's a bit more of a bigger deal than Frank's making it out to be just because of confidence. I think this could help him mentally. I still don't think he's going to hit above 240, but
Oh, no, he won't hit above. No. I won't even give him 230.
Yeah, kind of a disaster.
Yeah, I don't think this is a big deal either, just because the level of play is just not comparable. Now, if he was hitting like 400 in the Dominican League, then that's one thing, but 318 in the Dominican League for somebody who's one of the who at his best is one of the best hitters in baseball.
We'll say he's the second most talented catcher. Not that he is the second best catcher. He's the second most talented catcher.
Yeah. So for that level of what you are, that's not 318 Dominican League is nothing to write home about. So I need more out of him, and honestly, the way he's going right now, he'll play for the Yankees next year, and
they already offered him a contract, so he's going to be a Yankee next year.
Cash isn't going to do anything. Boone may sit him more than he has in the past and put in Higgy or somebody, but I don't think it's a big deal. I think the Yankees are going to handle Gary like they always have, no matter how.
Yeah, and to what Eric said about the confidence, I think it's getting to the point where you can't put confidence in a guy when he just doesn't do anything. Because you have Brian Cashman, who's historically notorious for just putting blind confidence into guys. He's doing the same thing right now with Glaber at shortstop. We all know that Glaber was a terrible shortstop last year. There's no dancing around it.
Exception for.
What did you say? Sorry.
It did come out that Glaber after the shutdown. So when spring training this year, when they got shut down, and they went into quarantine, he stopped working out for like a month and a half, and he just did not work out for a month and a half. He was live streaming on Twitch for.
Yeah, the guy plays Call of Duty 3 times a week on live stream.
So he showed up to fall training or summer training or whatever the hell you wanted to call it.
Summer camp.
Like overweight and not in shape and all that. So there was an exception for Glaber.
But again, that's on him. That's not an exception in my eyes. That's totally on him. And Brian Cashman's like, I just saw it last week because we all know they're trying to re-sign DJ. And they're like, we could always move Glaber to second base again and sign somebody else. Or he said something like that. It wasn't that black and white, but I got the gist. And it was basically like a way of like intimidating DJ into signing back because they're like, we don't need DJ, but whatever. And it's just like he does it every time with all these players. He did it with Judge with the injuries, and he just says, Judge is a good guy. He'll come back. He'll be back. And like every year, Judge is injured. And every year, Glaber's defense is calling the question. Every year, Brian Cashman's like, we have faith in him as a defender. And like, well, we shouldn't as fans be sitting here on every ground ball that's hit to Gleyber Torres going, oh God, is he going to make the throw this time? This is the major leagues. It's the same thing with Gary Sanchez. Like, you can't put blind confidence into people every single time and expect them to do well. And then when they don't, just keep doing the same thing.
In fairness, what do you want him to say? Oh, he's terrible. Jesus Christ.
I wanted to be not that. I wanted to be accountable, say, Gleyber, oh yeah, he wasn't the best last year, but I think if he works hard, he can get better. Brian Cashman doesn't do that. He says, oh yeah, Gleyber's our guy. He's great.
No player wants to hear, oh, you're implying I didn't work hard. These guys have the
He didn't. Tyler just said it. He literally didn't.
Doesn't matter. These guys are like 7-year-old girls, Frank. They get so offended. Anytime any manager or GM like calls out a player, it's a whole ordeal. I get it. And in a perfect world, Cashman says, Gleyber, get off your fat ass, buddy. Work out. Enough. Stop playing video games.
Yeah, I'm just sick of watching Gary Sanchez swinging sliders 6 feet out of the strike zone, and then Gleyber Torres missing ground balls and missing throws, and Brian Cashman just going, "Oh, he'll be better. It's fine."
Believe you me, so am I. But you don't want to add gasoline to the fire. That fucks with him even more.
He's adding gasoline to the fire where Gary Sanchez thinks, "Oh, I'm the best player here. I don't have not that he doesn't have to work hard, but I'm the best player here. I'll figure it out."
If Gary thinks that he's still the frickin' A1 whatever the
2016 Gary, where he was a god.
Yeah, then he's delusional. The guy's delusional.
That's the issue, because Brian Cashman keeps installing that idea into him.
I don't know if that's a terrible idea. At the very, because he has self-doubt. If he sees people around him saying like, yeah, I'm not worried. That's gonna make him be not worried. Once again, it's
you can't say that continuously and look at the numbers and say it's true.
Yeah, but Gary's like a dog. If everyone around him is like, "Oh, you're really good, good boy," and he'll do really good.
Yeah,
he didn't. He hit under 150 last year.
Yeah, because everyone was like, "Oh, you suck." You say you suck.
Because it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
He's like a dog. He feeds off everybody. If everyone's like, "Oh, this man's a god," like, wait, look at him go. Like,
listen, I love Gary. I got a baseball Gary sitting on my shelf over here signed. I love Gary. Met him. He spoke 3 words of English. He was very nice in his 3 words of English. But getting to the point, and you can't even trade him because he has no value because he sucks.
Frank, I'd sell that baseball, buddy. I'd sell that baseball for $1 right now. You're not going to be able to get $1 after this year.
Yeah, well, they're not going to trade him. He's the catcher. But like, I don't know. Prove me wrong, Gary. Do it. Prove me wrong. I would love to see you hit well again.
All right, let's get on to the next one. This past weekend, the Big Ten announced that they are changing the minimum amount of games that you have to play from 7 to 6 for the conference championship game. Now, Ohio State, no, it was from 5. It was from 7 to 6.
Because can they play this week? Are they playing this week? I don't know.
8 to 6.
No, I think it was 6-5 because they have 5 right now. I don't think they're playing again. But whatever. Just point systems.
Hold on.
Yeah, because I think Michigan would have been their 6th game, and then they don't have another game scheduled again.
Yeah, 6 to 5. Yeah, because the Michigan game got canceled, so now they're at 5. So they're going to be a 6-game, I don't know if win, but 6-game Ohio State team when the Big Ten championship is over. So big deal or no big deal, they're pretty much changing this just so Ohio State can have 6 games. Eric.
Yeah, pretty big deal. Where maybe it's not even the NFL, maybe it's just all of football. We're just gonna change things on the fly when it means getting more money. It's a big deal, but it's like, I'm not phased though. This is just like the sports world is so corrupt, and it's like really just coming to me recently. But I get it. They have incentives. Whatever. It's kind of ridiculous. I hope they get smoked. That'd be very funny. Just have them there to get blown out by 40 points. That would be great.
Frank?
I don't think it's a big deal. Like Eric said, it was expected. They're a top conference in the country. Ohio State's their best team. They're not going to have Indiana play in the Big Ten championship and go to the playoff, which they wouldn't anyway, even if they won the Big Ten. So I think that this is the only team the Big Ten could possibly have in the college football playoff, and they're going to push it however much they can because it's so much more money. And I'm just not surprised anymore.
Yeah, I mean the Big Ten. This is not the first time they've done something absolutely corrupt this year. Um, them changing this so that Ohio State can get into the playoffs is going to help them. It's not going to hurt them. Um, they Ohio State's going to go in. They're going to play Northwestern in the Big Ten championship. Uh, Probably going to win because Northwestern is just not that good. They can't compete against Ohio State, and Ohio State's going to be a playoff contender because they're number 4 right now. They're going to be a playoff contender, having no losses on their resume, and having a Big Ten championship on their resume, which is going to look really good in the eyes of the playoff committee. So,
but I do see the point of view where you can't blame this on Ohio State because if you go back to when the Big Ten shut down, they actually voted to play. It was every other team in the Big Ten.
Yeah, this isn't Ohio State's fault.
It's the Big Ten because the rest of the teams voted not to play and screwed Ohio State, right. And they're like, oh, what crap? Well, now we can have Ohio State in, and we're going to change the rule.
Right, and I think I think this is a really big deal because now you're going to have, and let's face it, Ohio State's number 4 right now. They've played half the amount of games that the top 3 teams have played. They're still
sitting half that Texas A&M have played in Florida.
Yeah, they played half than 5 of the top 6 teams. So they're sitting there because of the eye test. They're going to win a Big Ten championship, and they're going to get into the college football playoff having played half as many games, which is a huge deal. It's not right in my eyes that the playoff committee is allowing a team whose players haven't even played a full season into the playoff against teams that have played a full season against like big time opponents like Alabama this year. They're going to have going into the playoffs because I think they're pretty much in whether they win or lose against Florida in the SEC championship game. Alabama is going to have played Texas A&M, Florida, Georgia, Auburn, who at the time was ranked, LSU, who's not great this year, but it's still better than any team that Ohio State has played this year. All these teams on their schedule, it wears down a team. Now Ohio State's going in with 6 games. It's pathetic.
Now, there's a situation where Ohio State wins a Big Ten championship, and then, God forbid, close your ears, Tyler, that Florida does beat Alabama in the SEC championship game, and Florida just jumps them immediately. So this could all just not matter anyway.
If Florida beats Alabama, they become the number 4 seed.
They'd be 4. There'd be no discussion about it.
Yeah, and now it's going to work itself out a little bit because Clemson and Notre Dame still have to play again.
That'll be a good game too.
So,
are they a lock for the ACC championship game yet, or is it still like out?
Both. Well, yeah. Whether they are or they're not, they're both going to be.
Oh yeah, so it's like not announced, but it's like.
Yeah. So if Notre Dame wins, Clemson's out, and then A&M is in. Ohio State would move to 3, A&M to 4, and then if Florida gets in, Florida beats Bama, then Florida probably goes. Florida probably goes.
You would knock out Ohio State, so then there would be like Bama, A&M, Florida, and
Notre Dame.
So that'd be 3 SEC teams, which would be pretty cool. I think it'll work out the way it is now. Like,
did I ask you?
We'll make predictions.
Did I get Eric on big deal or no big deal?
I don't know. Did you? No, he did.
Yeah.
We went into a whole side conversation.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the next one. Big deal, Frank. Big deal, no big deal. Carson Wentz got benched this past week for Jalen Hurts after getting signed to a massive contract this offseason.
I think it's a huge deal because it reminds me of the A-Rod situation with the Yankees about 5 years ago, where A-Rod was on a massive contract and the Yankees played him, which I don't think that was the right decision because he was terrible. The Eagles are making the opposite decision. They're sitting their superstar they're paying bajillions of dollars to, And I think it's a huge deal for them because they can't trade him. No one's taking that contract the way he's been playing. And I think they did it to themselves because when you draft Jalen Hurts in the second round, what's that saying to your quarterback that you just paid a bunch of money? Not saying that Carson Wentz didn't help himself. He played terribly, which doesn't help. But I think that when you draft a quarterback in the second round, which is supposed to be like a high value pick that you could use for something else, when you like, oh, that's our quarterback, we don't need a quarterback. Instead, they draft a quarterback, and Carson Wentz is like, well, are they trying to take my job? And you're like, oh shit, I guess I don't have a job anymore. And it just whittled him down. And now he's shot. I don't think he can be the quarterback again.
Eric.
Before I answer, so for Frank Petterini, it is too much for Brian Cashman to say, yeah, Gary's going to be fine. That's too much. But, you see the comparison, Petterini.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
What? What's the difference?
Brian Cashman would say before he replaced Gary that he's not playing well. The Eagles just drafted somebody with the impression that Carson was playing well.
No. So before we get back to Eric, the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts because Carson Wentz is injury prone.
He wasn't playing well. After the injury, he wasn't playing well.
Wasn't playing great, but he was playing well enough to get re-signed with a massive deal.
That's because the Eagles are stupid. That's a whole different
Look at
conversation.
Aaron Rodgers. They snagged.
That was stupid too. That was also stupid.
Well, that's a totally different conversation.
Yeah, no, and I agree. But look how he's playing. He's having an MVP year.
You can't compare Aaron Rodgers to Carson Wentz.
But it's the same situation. It's the exact.
It's not. Aaron Rodgers is not Carson Wentz. Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest QBs of all time.
Is he not? I thought he was.
It's the same concept of the fact that both Carson.
They're different players. I can't compare that.
I thought they were
injury-prone players that need to have a stable backup just in case. That's why both players got drafted. Jordan Love was drafted way too high. I don't think the Packers should have drafted a quarterback in the first round. But them drafting a quarterback was definitely warranted.
No, I agree. I agree on all things. I'm just saying. But yeah, it's a big deal. Frank's right here. I'll give you that. They overpaid for him in the first place, in my opinion. I get it.
Also, we're not paying Gary that much money yet, so it's different.
Watch, it's coming. It's coming.
I hope it doesn't, man. Unless he improves. Well, that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah. I'd sign up for that. I'll tell you. But yeah, Carson's terrible. He's gotten to the point. He's like a bottom 5 quarterback in the league. This guy's really bad. He can't complete a pass anymore.
He takes every sack that comes his way.
It's bad. It's really bad, and it's a big deal. You burned a second-round pick. You burned millions of dollars. You're lucky Nick Foles got you that Super Bowl because, yeah.
If they didn't win that year, it'd be ugly for years in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna say this isn't a big deal. I don't think I don't think this is as big as a deal as everyone's saying. Now the Eagles are gonna throw away millions and millions and millions of dollars and right into the garbage paying Carson Wentz all they just did. But I don't think they burned a second round pick. I think they got a steal with Jalen Hurts. I mean, this is a guy that's won 2 SEC championships, a Big 12 championship. He's made the college football playoff 4 times. National champion. Heisman, probably would have won the Heisman if it weren't for Joe Burrow. So this is somebody that's done it all.
I think that he could be the right guy to do it, but I think to your fan base, you're just saying, all right, we're starting over again after just paying Carson Wentz, thinking that you're going to compete for this many years.
No, because I think if they were going to say that they're starting all over again, I think they would have kept up with Carson Wentz. They would have finished the year with Carson Wentz. I think them putting in Jalen Hurts right now is showing the fan base, okay, we're still kind of in this. We're still trying to figure out what we're doing.
They're not, but
give the team a chance. Put in the backup because the starter's been terrible. So put in the backup, see what you can do. If the backup goes off, listen, there's a very good chance.
He played well. He played well last week. So
yeah. So you never know. I think Jalen Hurts is going to do really good for the Eagles. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs because they're in the NFC East and they're already pretty much out of it.
They're like 2 games out or something.
I think Carson Wentz is not going to be in an Eagles jersey next year. I don't know who is going to take on that contract, but
Nobody. I'm not.
Whoever it is going to get a terrible quarterback for a terrible price. Probably the Jets or the Jaguars.
Probably the Jets.
The Jaguars would seem like the kind of team to draft like Justin Fields, make a really good decision, but then also sign Carson Wentz and then start Carson Wentz.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? That does sound like the Jaguars.
Yeah, that's
a good point.
Yeah. All right, we'll get to the next one. The Giants won this past weekend against the Seahawks. Big win for the Giants. And then on Monday night, I believe. Yeah, Monday night.
Yeah.
The football team from Washington beat the Steelers, who were undefeated at the time. Who's gonna win this division? Both games a big deal or no big deal? These teams are getting hot at the right time. Frank.
From the Giants' point of view, I think it's a big deal because they're proving that they're not a great team, but they're a team that I said a few weeks ago I thought this division was absolute garbage, which it kind of is still. But the Giants are proving that they can actually be a team that is threatening in a playoff run. Not that they will make a playoff run. I think they're going to lose in the first round. I think they're playing the Buccaneers right now if it were to end today. But the Giants prove that in the future they're going to have a really good team. That defense is really good. They're going to have Saquon back. Hopefully he's relatively what he was before the injury. I don't know if he will. Daniel Jones, if he doesn't turn the ball over, is a really good quarterback. That's just what I think. For Washington, I think that it's also a big deal because they're proving that they could also be decent. Their defense is also pretty good right now. And I think Alex Smith is a great story. I think that's a big deal for them as well. So I think it's a big deal for both teams.
I think it's a big deal for both teams as well, for different reasons. I think the Giants are getting hot at the perfect time. They have tiebreaker on Washington. So if the division were to come down to a tie, they would get in with the tiebreaker because of head-to-head matchups. But so that's where there's a big deal for the Giants because they're getting hot at the right time. End of the year, we're in December now, coming up with a few weeks, 4 weeks I think left in the NFL season. So this is prime time for the Giants to get hot. If they continue into the playoffs, we just saw them take down the Seahawks with a backup quarterback. I think they could take down anybody in the NFL.
Backup running back.
And backup running back. Well, they're going to have to use a backup.
They're going to have the backup.
But yeah.
They're better off. They're better off with their backup running back. So I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
But I love Saquon, but
Goldman's playing really freaking well, dude.
Goldman's the man, and Morris in the red zone all of a sudden. This is the better running back formula for the Giants this season. It absolutely is.
But you also have to think about Washington. Now, Washington has the harder schedule with 4 games left of the Giants. Yeah. They're not as hot as the Giants. They did just beat the Steelers, who were undefeated, but the Giants.
But like we said last week, the Steelers aren't.
The Steelers aren't anything special.
Yeah.
So the Redskins at this point, this is a big deal for them because I think they're screwing themselves out of a draft pick.
Well, yeah, like if you don't make the playoffs and you're stuck with what do they have, like a 11 pick or something like that?
Right now, it's gonna come out. I think they're outside the top 10 right now, which
something like that,
which is not good for Washington because if they can get they've shown that they have potential this year. That defense has done a lot. They just need more offensive help. Probably a quarterback would help. But if they can get inside the top 10, they can probably get a good quarterback. Outside the top 10 might have to wait a while. Eric, big deal or no big deal?
Yeah, it's a big deal, and I've done far too much crapping on Frank today, and I'm sorry, Frank. I love you, but I'm
more crap on me.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when the three of us, I don't even know if it was Frank, to be quite honest, but we were talking on the show, and we were like, no, man, the Giant NFC East winner should not make the playoffs. They're just going to get blown out.
Yeah, I said that.
They're just going to lose.
Frank.
That was me.
Look how the narrative changes, you know?
Well, because they're actually playing well. It's different now. The first 8 weeks of the year, I couldn't even watch the game.
Listen, I get it.
Games in the beginning of the year, Frank. You weren't watching. Yes, you weren't.
I was watching them.
You were not.
I just didn't tell you guys every time I watched the game because they were terrible. They sucked. What am I going to say? Oh, the Giants lose again. Who cares?
Blowing games in the fourth quarter. They were in games.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I literally said that. I said the Giants could easily be, what are they, 5-7, I think? They could easily have an over 500 record if they didn't blow leads.
Well, it's a big if, but yeah, listen, I get it, and I don't mean to attack you too much. You're far smarter than
You've been shit on me all week, Eric.
I
all
know.
week,
It's unbelievable. Poor Frank. But listen, I'll tell you this: it's a big deal, and I can see the Giants knocking. If it was the Giants versus the Bucks today in the playoffs, guess what? What did that game? First of all, the Bucks got a lot.
They almost won that game too.
Yeah, and the Bucks got a lot of calls down the stretch because everyone they love Tom Brady, which I love Tom Brady too, but he's not above the law. People, come on, you officiate the game. Don't just come on. I don't want to get into
another Eric meltdown's coming.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel the vein in my head, just like it's annoying. But it's a big deal. It's a big deal for Washington. It's a big deal for the Steelers because now everyone could stop petting them too. It's a big deal for the Giants. It's a big deal for the Seahawks too. Offense didn't even look good, but I give more credit.
I think the Giants' defense played really well more than the Seahawks' offense was bad.
I was just about to say that. What, Leonard Williams 2.5 sacks, something like that. It's crazy. He looked so good.
Yeah,
it was crazy. What a game by him. The whole
even on offense, like Colt McCoy didn't look good, but like he looked way better than I thought he would.
Just the defense looks so good.
The defense was the story of the game, but I'm saying like going to the game, I was like, Colt McCoy's gonna play terrible.
Colt got it done.
Yeah, exactly. Now,
especially with that one drive, I think it was the fourth quarter. I don't remember. My memory's terrible, but
Colt played better than I expected as well. I loved Colt McCoy since my young days when he was a Longhorn. I am a big Colt McCoy
guy.
Eric, you got anything else you want to shit on me for?
Not yet. I'll keep you.
Get it all out now.
Well, it's time to shit on me. It's time for the top 5.
Oh yeah.
This week, now kind of ruined the whole narrative with the Ohio State-Michigan game being canceled. But top 5 this week are top 5 college rivalries.
Good luck, Frank.
Oof.
Yeah. My college.
Are we for just football or like overall?
This is all sports.
Okay.
Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first.
Knock out the easy one, Eric.
No. Hold on here. Frankie, you go first. You go first.
Knock out the easy one, or do you want the easy one?
You can have the easy one because I'm cooking on something up here, but
okay.
Very easy list.
Auburn and Alabama is the easy first one.
Yeah, that's number 2. Now, me being the biased Alabama fan that I am, easily could have put it at 1, but if we're being realistic, there's only number 1. There's only one number 1, and I think that number 1 is miles beyond number 2 through 5. So Iron Bowl is number 2. I think second biggest rivalry in college, just because of how old it is and the history that goes back to Coach Stallings, Coach Bear Bryant, and all the plays that have come down to all the games that have come down to the wire in these past few years. The kick 6 it might have been 10 years ago almost.
Something like that.
7-8 years ago. Just all these great moments from that rivalry. So I have that at number 2.
Oh, my turn,
yeah.
Yeah.
Who hates Duke? Who's Duke's rival? Because I always
North
hear
Carolina.
Yeah, there you go. Duke, North Carolina is down the list.
Yeah, Duke, North Carolina is number 4. Just because it's not a huge rivalry outside of college basketball.
Yeah, it's mostly
one-dimensional. I get it.
Now it mainly in part due to these teams not having good college football teams.
North Carolina's good this year.
North Carolina's good
this year.
Duke, outside of Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Danny Dimes.
Isn't very good. So Duke, North Carolina, probably atop the list if we're talking college basketball rivalries.
Oh yeah, then that's top.
Yeah. But I have him at number 4 just because I think my top 3, I think you can go both ways. I think that works both good in both basketball and football. All right, Frank, you're up.
I want to say Ohio State and Michigan, but like
Ohio State, Michigan's number 1.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even have to really give. I don't even have to really give a reason. I think
no, yeah, it's like no.
if you know college football, you know that Thanksgiving Saturday is every year, but this year, obviously. You're tuning in you're tuning in early to watch the Iron Bowl, and then you're staying up late to watch Ohio State, Michigan, just because it is that big of a game. No matter who you root for, I have friends that go to Ohio State, and the week, like 2 weeks before the game even starts, they'll go around campus, and wherever like the letter M is shown,
Yeah, they like scratch it out, don't they?
Scratch it out and
Yeah,
put
yeah.
a red X over it, which no other school does that. So I think Michigan does the same with O.
They do the same thing.
So just for that reason, number 1, easily. Also, coaches will get fired no matter how well coaches do at those schools. They will get fired if they can't beat the other school.
Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh. Well,
Jim Harbaugh.
This year. But if he was doing good this year, he probably still would get fired because he hasn't been able to beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, you guys have gotten 1, 2, and 4.
I'm not a team. Let me think real quick. So who's just a big college football team? We did Ohio State. We did Alabama. Yeah, but who's? I don't know. Who's the?
You could say Army and Navy.
Army and Navy.
Army and Navy is number 3.
I'm a genius.
Yeah.
You're so smart, Eric.
Army Navy. I mean, I have to put it at number 3 just because they get their own weekend.
Yeah,
makes sense. Because they've been going on for so long.
Well, not yet. That too, but like outside of 2020, any other year, this weekend only. This is the only weekend of the year where there would be not a single college football game on TV, except for the Army Navy game. And for that reason, just because they get their own weekend, is why they're on this list. And all the history and all that.
But what do we have? 1 through 4?
1 through 4, missing number 5. Number 5 is definitely the outlier.
Yeah, makes sense.
Thinking SEC, Georgia and Florida.
Yeah.
Not a boy, Pederini.
Wow.
Look at you.
Yeah.
It's been a rough day for Frank, but he just
Listen, bullshit. I've had a good day, Eric. You just keep shitting on me, bro.
Frank went 0 for 9 from the floor, and they were like, fuck it, we're putting him out there. Game on, I don't care.
Listen.
And he got the open look. He just drained it.
I got Florida, Georgia at number 5. Just because it's a huge game every year. Both teams. This is the SEC being the SEC in football. Had to put more than one rivalry up here. So I thought Florida, Georgia was probably the one biggest one on top of my mind that I could put up here. Also could have put up Notre Dame and USC. Decided not to just because they didn't play this year. Didn't really make a big deal out of it. So I think Florida, Georgia, the big showdown, the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville every year is huge game. So I had to put them at number 5. But that'll do it for this week. Go check out our interview that we did with Raphael Lassard.
Which blew up yesterday, actually. I was just looking.
It did.
Blew up in terms of our very small, very tiny podcast.
We have like 3 or 4 comments on that.
Really? I didn't look at the comments.
They're all in French. So I don't know.
Google Translate.
Yeah, but we do have comments. So yeah, signing off for the boys. We'll see you next week. Adios.